let's discuss how to create a 3D scene. I've got a 2D map of earthquakes and plate boundaries. I could either go to the application launcher in the upper right there, or I could go to scene on the left side here in ArcGIS Online. If I create a scene in either one of those methods, I'm going to create a new scene. I can't bring the map directly into a 3D scene. What I have to do is add layers. As you can see here on the left side, I'm going to grab my URL from the lesson for my feature layer, which is right here. I'm going to grab that feature layer. So I've got to construct the scene from a feature layer. I can't create the scene directly from a map because the map has all sorts of attributes and other things in it. So once I add that feature layer, I'm going to get a default set, in this case, of earthquakes. Then what I can do is I can go to the attributes and go to layer properties. I can configure the pop-ups, and I think in my pop-ups, all I want to do is show the magnitude. So I'm going to delete all the other features from the pop-up. I can get fancier with the pop-ups and create expressions. I can create phrases. For example, the earthquake occurred on this date and it had this magnitude. I can do that if I wanted to, but in the interest of time, I'm just going to create a simple default pop-up with just the fields that I want shown. I'm going to delete all of the ones that I don't want shown. You can see in the upper right that all I have now is the magnitude and the year. I can get fancy if I wanted to and create an expression that deletes the comma from the year, but in the interest of time, I'm going to leave it alone. That earthquake was magnitude 8 in 1925. Now I'm going to go to layer properties, and I'm going to check that pop-up one more time. That's good. Now layer style. I want 3D symbols, so I'm going to create 3D symbols here, and I'm going to go down to magnitude, which is the attribute that I want to have displayed. There's the default right there. You can of course change the colors. You can change the symbols from cylinders to triangles and other things. Even customize symbols of your own choosing. That is okay, but it's a little bit high in terms of the cylinders, and I don't want that height. I also don't like that color, so I'm going to change it so I can see what the smaller earthquakes look like in a different tone. That's looking better, but the size min-max, it's relative to ground, so I can alter these settings if I wanted to, but I'm going to quickly just change the size to be magnitude, but also improve perspective there. I'm going to bump down the size ever so slightly and test that and see what I think of that. I'm liking that a lot better. I can see the features underneath it a bit better, the cities, coastlines. Speaking of coastlines, I do have options to change the base map, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's rotate this around before we do that and make sure that it helps me understand the pattern, the relationships, the trends, and that's exactly what we want to do when we're using GIS, is to look at the whys of where. So let's change that base map to oceans, because we of course do care about earthquakes in and near the oceans, and that's looking good now. Okay, so I've created a 3D scene. On the left side there, I have a little blue button next to save, indicating that I need to save this if I want to come back to it later.